in the Google form. And that's essentially how it is all used. So if your students choose a certain answer, it will take them to a certain section in the Google form. So that being said, I'm trying to make this quick because of time, but I really hope you guys can go. You can go to the next slide. It's kind of just a quick wrap up. I hope you guys are interested in having that with your lesson, turning your lessons into an adventure, making them more engaging and fun for your students. And I hope you can join me. That's it.
All right, thank you. So at the end of each person, we slam their awesome tidbit there. So going next, we go to Amber.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amber Dodd. I'm an EdTech at Alisal High School. And you can go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm going to do a deep dive into Google Classroom. So before I get started talking about it, I want to ask you this question. When you think about your Google Classroom, does it feel more like this, or does it more feel like that? So does it spark joy or not? And so we can go ahead and go to the next one. So in my session, I'm going to be talking about diving deep into Google Classroom because I want us to feel joy when we go into our Google Classrooms. And I want this to be a place that's easy and accessible for us and for our students. And so some tips and tricks of using Google Classroom that I'll kind of be going over during my session is creating a purposeful stream. And I will tell you right now, just hide those notifications in your stream so it's only a stream and you don't see all the other junk that goes into your stream. Maintaining organized and consistent topics. So really thinking about how you're communicating what students need to do. And when they glance at Google Classroom, can they easily see what they need to do and what they need to do and like when it is due. Also thinking about what is an assignment versus a quiz or a question, and especially a material. I found myself this last semester putting everything as assignment, thinking that kids can see it. They have the due dates, like everything's all like joined, like is all like there. But then I realized that on my end, everything was a mess. And so I really want to be purposeful about what I'm posting as an assignment versus what I'm posting as a quiz, what I'm posting as a material, like what really actually needs to have a due date and what doesn't need to have a due date with it. Also, I think the least used feature in Google Classrooms is probably our to-dos for students or 2 reviews for teachers and our gradebook. And even though we don't have really need to look at our gradebook for grades per se, how we can use our gradebook and those 2 reviews and those to-dos to give a quick overview, especially when we have so many students that might be doing DLL, for distance learning. They might not be showing up in our Zooms, but they're showing up, and doing the work later, or for those late assignments. If you're accepting late work, especially during these distance learning times, how we can easily manage late work and see everything in a glance using Google Classroom. And then lastly, having a fun and an engaging personal banner. So really making our Google Classroom the space like our classrooms right now. And so really looking at how, this is our space. This is like how we would decorate our classroom. Our Google Classroom is now kind of where we're welcoming students. And so how we can really engage our students in our Google Classrooms and really make that more of like what we think of more of our traditional classroom, like how we would put posters on the wall and put things like that, thinking about our Google Classroom as kind of like our space, our safe space for students. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And so looking at, I know a lot of us are cleaning up for the new year and really looking at, organizing and throwing away stuff and whatnot. So I really want us to look at our Google Classroom and making sure that our Google Classroom spark joy this semester. And then I love this quote from Marie Kondo of the objective of cleaning is not just to clean, but to feel happiness living within that environment. So I really want us to go to our Google Classrooms and to feel as much happiness as we can out of a Google Classroom or as a digital platform, and to really spark that joy for ourselves and for our students. So that is my session. My session is going to be really doing a deep dive into all those other little features of Google Classroom we may have been ignoring, or just as a reminder and refresher of, making sure our Google Classroom sparks a joy. And that's it for me.
All right, slam, kudos. Good job. Brianna.
Okay. So my session is going to be about color coding Google Docs and also other ways to make your Google Docs or your Google Slides prettier. So I'm sure that you've been hearing HyperDocs has probably been over and over and over, but you might be scared to try making one because they come off kind of intimidating, right? Because you find them on the internet or people have made them and they're very pretty and you're thinking, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to do that. So in my session, we're going to talk about how to start with your HyperDoc and what are some of the tools within Google Docs that you can use to make your HyperDocs or make your Google Docs more interactive and more pretty. So my 3 key things are that tables are always the answer, adding tables into your Google Docs. Also, how you can add manipulatives in your Google Doc by using Google Draw. And that using file page setup, you can customize color and size of your Google Doc. Jen, if you could click on that HyperDoc link. There's also gonna be a bunch of examples of HyperDocs that you can take with you. So hopefully in the sandbox, you'll be able to create your own HyperDoc. So some examples of what I'm talking about are this Great Depression Google Doc, HyperDoc. Sometime it'll load.
Just taking forever to load.
Oh, there's people in the waiting room. Okay.
No.
So notice that the first, we're going to talk about how to create these manipulatives using Google Draw. So if Jen, you double click on that, let's review history up to this point. Is it working?
I think I have to be in edit access or something.
Oh, okay.
I can't click on anything.
Okay, well, anyways, we'll look at how to add Google Drawings into your Google Docs, which would allow you to make manipulatives and make your Google Docs more interactive.
Okay, well, maybe a copy will work, but we'll move on.
You can go to the next one.
Okay.
So another thing that we'll talk about in this session is how to make your Google Docs or your HyperDocs more collaborative by using color coding and tables. So notice that many of these examples are color coded. So students, if you were student 1, 2, 3, or 4, right, you would have a specific part of the Google Doc that you are completing. So not only are HyperDocs helpful for self-guiding, right, students self-guiding and clicking and reading and creating and answering questions, you can use them as group work for groups of students to work collaboratively on a Google Doc to complete some sort of task. So in my session, we'll be looking at all of those different ways that you can, those little things that you might not have known you can do in Google Docs. You'll also get a bunch of examples, and then there will also be some different places you can go to make different fonts, to find different images, to make your Google Docs appear not just like a blank Google Doc, which can be like look boring. I know as a student, if my teacher gives me something that looks cool, I'm more likely to like go through it and answer the questions. And that's all I have.
Okay, so I am next, and I am going to be talking about Google Sites, and how it can be used for teachers. So we're talking about why would you want to use a Google site? Why would you want to make a Google site for your classroom? So Google Sites is really simple to use. It's really easy to make one. And the nice thing about it being a Google tool is it seamlessly integrates with the rest of G Suite. So it's really easy to embed a doc, slides, forms, whatever it is. And the price is right because it is free. Who doesn't love free things? So we're going to talk about what you can use your site for. So some ideas that we'll talk about would be parent communication. So having one place for all of those parent tidbits of information that they need to know, keeping them updated on what the class is doing and things like that. Having one location for course information, so that you're keeping your course information in a place that can be accessed all the time and it's not like lost in your Google Classroom feed. It's a good place to put your contact info and things like that. And also it makes a nice space to share that student work, especially in this time where you can't go into a classroom and see student work on a wall. It's a nice way to showcase work digitally. And there's just some of the ideas you can, and also this should say what can your students use sites for. So we also talk about how students can build sites and have what they could use the sites for, such as having an e-portfolio or for displaying a project or report that they make. It could also be for the class portfolio. So just using using it just for that class to showcase their work that they've done that they're proud of in that class, or maybe for each unit, however you want to do it. Another idea is making an about me site, which especially in this world where they don't get to meet each other in person, it's a nice way to kind of learn about their classmates and see what they have in common with each other and maybe form those bonds with each other. And we'll talk about how they can embed forms and stuff to make it so that it's interactive and all that. So I will tell you how easy it is to get started. Your Google Sites lives in your Drive just like any other file. So in order to create a new site, literally all you're doing is creating a new type of document where you go to new and you come down here to Google Sites, you create a new site, and then voila, you've just created a website. Amazing, congratulations, and mic drop. It's just that easy to create a site. So some of the problems that could be solved with a Google site, if you have parents that are emailing you about the parent, like the same questions, you can direct them to that parent portal. You can show them in the beginning of the year so that they have it, and then we should remind them periodically so that they know where to find the information. If your students are losing the syllabus or forget the policies, and also you could make a Google site to share as a resource for sharing with your PLC. So it doesn't always just have to be for classroom. It could also be a resource that you use within your staff as well. So here's just some ideas for how you could use Google Sites for students. I'm going kind of fast because I'm nervous about my time. So just some of the benefits of using Google Sites for students, whether it's e-portfolios or blogging or whatever it might be. So we'll go into a deeper dive with that and learn how to make a site and how you can personalize it. And get tons of resources. Slam. And next up we have Robin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin Mendenhall. I'm the Science Curriculum Specialist, and today I'll be presenting a deep dive on Jamboard for collaboration. And I was going to share my screen, but I think, Jen, for sake of time, I will wait for the recorded session to do that. And just explain a little bit about Jamboard for all of you. If you've not tried using Jamboard with your colleagues or with students, I think you'll find it is a lot of fun. As you can see in red there, this app was actually developed by the Google engineers for their own internal collaboration. And so I think you'll find it in our virtual teaching classrooms that it's like having butcher paper and sticky notes, and that productive group work can still happen. And a lot of the same moves that we used to make in the classroom with group work can happen this way. So there's a couple different ways that I want to model for you how to open a new jam. If we were using Google Meets, I might do that with the 3 dots in the bottom right-hand corner. It's called Whiteboard when you're opening a new Jamboard within Google Meets, or you can go to the waffle in a new tab and open a new Jamboard in or any of the ones that you've had access to in the past through the second tier of apps. So we'll look at different frames that you might use for any subject matter, especially I like this for math, engineering, chemistry, and physics. Students can collaborate to solve problems. So we'll look at some of the features and tools to make the different frames within Jamboard exciting, some of the backgrounds. And if you want to go on to the next slide, Jen, the last bullet point there is a free website where you can put in some interesting fonts, interesting colors, colorful text, and really just drag it in. So we'll practice that in my session. That's a tip I wanted to share with everyone that I learned from Brianna. So you might type in, let's say, photosynthesis, if you're having students counting atoms and looking at conservation of mass, and then have them, giving students group roles within Jamboard. Just like any time students are doing group work, students might have one element or one color sticky per student on that frame, and each group of students would be working on a different frame. We could look at this also for teaching literacy, and especially having students looking at articles in any of our subject matters and highlighting or annotating. So in my session today, we'll look at setting up frames and templates and making copies of those templates. One thing about Jamboard that's different from other apps in the Google Suite is that there's no version history. So it's really great for teachers, of course, to make a copy for each of your periods, class periods, but also to make a copy of your own template to save in case students need a fresh copy sent to them. So I hope you have a great day, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Slam. Awesome. All right. Next up, we have Sherilyn Johnston.
Good morning. I'm going to be showing Google Drawing. It's one of Google's platforms that kind of gets overlooked. It's pretty powerful. It's really great for creating learning activities. Right now with, is my slide not in there? There it is. I lost my place. Right now, with being online learning, we really need different ways to engage students. And so I have a ton of resources that have pre-made drawings done, and then a lot of ideas on how to create drawings. Google Slides is really similar to Google Drawing is really similar to Google Slides. The platform is very, the dashboard at the top is really the same. And so it's nice to be able to easily learn how to use it. The difference is it's a single canvas. So you've got your canvas and then you have the gray space along the outsides. So you can create word banks and images and do different drag and drops from those areas. I'm looking at my notes, make sure I'm getting everything. You can do inserting, so you can insert images, you can insert images from the web, you can insert images from your own bank, you can insert videos and audio. It doesn't have that feature, but you're able to do a workaround where we can copy and paste from Google Slides. It also has the ability to do the different editing, so you can put in text and you can create all kinds of activities. So some of the activities that are available or that you can create are graphic organizers, and I have a couple of resources with hundreds really of different types of graphic organizers that you can use. You can create timelines, the different drag and drop opportunities for matching, for vocabulary, for labeling pictures. You can do interactive images. So throughout an image, you can have a button that will take you to a video. It's really great to have the kids start to create. So there's ways you can do memes. You can use it as a green screen. You can use it to create public service announcements, posters, cards, brochures. It has a lot of the same ideas for basic graphic design. So if you want to introduce some of those tools using something a little simpler, you have the opportunity to create layers. And there's a background that is a transparency, so you can create a PNG, so you can export it and put it into something else. If you really want to enhance your Google Slides, you can use this session, because a lot of the things I'm teaching will also transfer to Google Slides, so they'll work together. And I don't know how much time I've taken up, so I think I'll stop talking, and I hope that you join, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Awesome. All right. Last but not least, we have Ms. Carolyn Edwards.
Hi, I'm Caroline Edwards, and I am going to talk about differentiation using digital notebooks and what that looks like. A lot of times, you can go to the next slide. So when we think about differentiation, a lot of times people automatically think about special education, and that's not the route that we want to go with this. So our student population here in Salinas and everywhere else is more diverse now than ever before. We have kids that come to us at varying proficiency levels. So some are pretty low, even though they're not special ed, some are very high. And we need to be able to meet their needs and also help them grow. So how do we do that? Using an interactive notebook that's digital, I'm going to show you how you can create one notebook and then use that same notebook to differentiate it based on a student's level or what you're actually looking for with them. Can go to the next one. One more, give me one more. So we will go more into what differentiation is in the setting, but I'm going to show you how to create the notebook that has tabs on the side so you can switch just like if you were writing in a notebook in your classroom. You can create different drag and drop opportunities where you would have some students that have they may have it just blank, so independent. They have to fill in what that vocabulary means. You have some kids where you give them the sentence frames and they pull the words into it. I'm going to show you how to embed videos so that students can't manipulate them. So a lot of times we create this, like we're like, I know how to create a digital notebook. I know how to create a Google slide. Then we send it to our students and they start to move things around. They can move things around because they're not locked in place. The most important thing that I'm going to show you is how to manipulate the master slides. So whatever we create in our master slides, we then have access to multiple times and the students cannot move them. So if I can share my screen for a second, Jen, and just show the difference. I'm still disabled.
That might be something Brianna has to change settings for. So
okay, so I'll just talk about it then.
That's why.
No worries, I'll talk about it then. So I'm sure that we've all experienced this. When you put something in your document, and even you, when you go back to move it or to do something with it, the whole screen shifts. So I may have it in place here and then everything shifts. I'm going to show you how to actually lock it, how to create multiple slides so you can create your whole lesson and only have certain things released to your students. So I have Monday and we're only going to do the I can statement and what is scientific method on Monday. And then come Tuesday, I want them to have a new page in their notebook. So then I release a new page to them without having to do anything else. So for planning, I plan the whole lesson on Sunday or Monday, whatever day I do my planning. I plan the whole lesson for the whole week. And then I release it to my students little by little, but I'm not having to create something every day. I create it at once, I release it. You can, I'm going to show you how to use storyboard features to have the students create things that you may ask them, and some may say this is over, well, how is this going to work for science? So I'm going to show you science examples. I'm going to also show you math examples, how it would relate to English. If you are a special educator or a paraeducator or an administrator, how to create things that can be duplicated. And I'm going to provide you with some templates. So if this is something that interests you, having a digital notebook, having something that your students can refer back to all in one location, come and join me. I'm going to provide you with that information.
Thank you, Slam.